Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Penny Dreadful City of Angels Season 1 Episode 3 Thoughts video. Just finished watching the latest episode of Penny Dreadful City of Angels, and I'm just going to share my general thoughts on the episode. This episode, we got a lot of characters developing their relationships. This was one of those episodes where not a lot of cool stuff happens as much, but we got a little bit more of a progress in the character development and the relationship establishment. And so we spend a little time with Diego and Molly. They go on a date, and we also spend some time with Dr. Kraft making moves on Miss Bronson, aka Magna. And we also see Mateo going to a club, and a swing club, where he makes some new friends, and one of whom is also Magna, whose name's Rio in this situation, who's pretending to be Rio, the leader of this gang. So yeah, this episode was kind of, I don't want to say disappointing, but it was a little bit less. I wanted more of the mystical stuff. I wanted some more Santa Mote and stuff like that. So that was the one thing about this episode where I was like, oh, this is the real people show a little bit in this situation. And what I mean by that is it's not super genre-y. This isn't one of those like monster of the week kind of shows, which is my preference a little bit. Not that that makes this show bad, it's just my preference is when we're exploring the folklore and the mythology and stuff like that, as opposed to establishing relationships between. I'm so like, I don't want to see these romantic things popping up in certain, like, I get it, but I also want to see my folklore stuff. So that's where this episode is a little, like, I guess disappointing for me a little bit. I still watched the full thing, and it was still a good episode. It was a good episode of TV. It's just I was hoping for, like I said, more of the folklore, a little more of that kind of stuff, a little more mystical stuff. But yeah, otherwise this episode was really, like I said, focused around the different relationships between all the characters. We see Lewis at the beginning finds his is shown two bodies, which he knows to be two of his friends that we saw at the last episode were murdered by the Nazis, and so yeah, he's kind of taking that investigation into his own hands, so off the hands of the police in a sense. He tells the coroner guy to not report this for a few days. So that I'm interested to see where that goes, because it's like, dude, you investigating the Nazis on your own is what led to your friends getting killed. But okay, he's taking vacation time now, he said, to bury his friend, and I'm guessing to continue this investigation into the Nazis. So yeah, we got a little bit of that. We saw Raul covering in this episode a little bit, and Mateo tries to rat out his rat on Diego about him being the one who shot Raul during the whole thing with the police in the first episode, and then it goes a crazy direction, which I wasn't I wasn't expecting it to go to that extent. I thought it was going to be more of a blanket expression, but we see like Raul almost pretty much defends Diego to Mateo, saying like, you don't know what he's going through. He's not a cop. He's not like fully Mexican. Is like he's stuck between two worlds. He's in hell, and so that was a really interesting thing that caught me off guard. I didn't quite expect that to be the route for those two characters to go, but I also like it. I like that these brothers that Raul is still very understanding of the position that Diego is in, and even tries to communicates that to Mateo, who is just like, oh, I would kill him for doing that. And it's like, no. So that was a very intense scene, a little scary, but it was still an interesting scene. So that was some good character development I enjoyed in this one. The Molly and Diego relationship development, it was fine. Popeye, yeah, it's funny. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little too bitter for this kind of thing, but I just don't need relationships in every show I watch. Why did this cop? He should be focusing on his job, is all I'm saying. He's not solving any crimes at the moment, but I guess love and whatnot. But so that was interesting. I am more curious now about like why this girl can't stand up to her mother more. It doesn't make sense to me. Her mother's a frail old lady. It's not like it's a physical thing. So that's the part where I'm a little curious to learn a little more about Molly and why she allows her mother to manipulate her, because we saw at one point she stands up to her mom in this episode at like the beginning, but then we see at the end she's like cowering because her mom's singing a Popeye song, implying that she knew that she was off on a date, and I guess that scares Molly. But it's also like, well, I know we saw that she was followed by the guy, but it's also like, Molly, you didn't put this together. Your mom insisting multiple times before you left that you take the driver. that you take the bodyguard with you. You don't think she was gonna send him to follow you? No, Molly. So you're super freaked out. Do you think your mom is actually communicating with God, and that's like, or has some kind of power? I'm very confused. This is why Molly is so afraid of her mother in this situation, like in this context. Why her mother cares about her going on a date? Like, I guess I could interfere with their business of, the religious, spokesperson. So, the purity of that could be, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, well, how much money do you guys need? So yeah, some other things that we got in this episode. We saw Doctor a little bit more, literally one scene with Dr. Kraft making a move on Miss Bronson Magna, and I'm still curious to see where this is going. It does seem that she wants to, I guess, maybe spark his, like, kind of maybe get him to go back to his, anti-America ways, like being a little bit more, like trying to bring out the Nazi in him. She dropped a couple things a few times where I'm like, okay, it seems like you're trying to pull out the anti-Semite in this guy, but I'm not sure either. There's a lot of things that everybody's doing, especially Magna's character. It's just popping around everywhere, and I'm like, but why? Why is all this happening? And I get it, I'm supposed to learn as the show goes along, but they're not hinting to it even a little bit, so I don't know. I'm very curious to see where this show ends up going. I really don't know, but I'm curious to check out next week's episode. What did you guys think of this latest episode of Penny Dreadful City of Angels? Did you like it? Did you not? Sure, let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Have a good one.